I grew up just like any other kid in Newport, Newfoundland. Around, on, and sometimes even in the water. I grew up wanting to be a sailor, just like my father. I eventually sailed on ships all over the world for 20 years. Then I met this guy, Greg Wells. He bought a 100-year-old church in my hometown. Along with a great team of people, there's some very special things happening there. My name is Ryan Gates. This is my hometown of Winterton, Newfoundland. This is Downey's Bank, Silly Cove Records podcast. All right, folks, welcome to another episode of the Downey's Bank podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Ryan Gates from Silly Cove Records. And we've got a special guest tonight, or today. When will this air? Maybe later today. I love how this is all done ahead of time, and you're always like trying to prep for what the people are going to listen to, but it's so off the cuff. Like I don't profess to be a professional at this by any stretch, and we'll talk a lot about podcasting just in a little bit. But I'm joined today by the lovely and talented Miss April Squires. April, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason I got you on, and not anybody else from the upcoming show, is because I've had so many people reach out to me and say, "Who's April Squires?" Never heard of her. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, a lot of people from home are like, "Now, who met she? Where's she from? You know, like what's her story? What's her background?" So I guess we'll start with that, and we'll work up to why you're coming to Trinity Hall a little bit later. But yeah, so who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
So my name is April Squires. I am originally from Sparrows Bay. I currently live in St. John's. I decided to come to St. John's at 18 and kind of didn't look back. I'm a really big traveler. I kind of get my hands involved with a little bit of everything. Currently, I work as a registered nurse in the emergency department, which has its challenges and its benefits, as we all know, with the healthcare system currently. And I love being a nurse, and I love helping people. Currently, I'm also working on my master's, become a nurse practitioner. So I'm just advancing my career with that and doing that part-time while working and kind of dabbling into a little bit of everything, like I already said. And yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I always find it incredibly interesting pairing people's careers and seeing where their hobbies lean as well and what their influences were, which led them to their careers. So like as a pre-university in high school, what kind of things were you involved in?
So in university, prior to that, I was in high school. I was really involved with sports. I also done student council and public speaking and different things like that. But mostly my whole world kind of involved with sports, whether it was school sports, CBN sports. And so that kind of left a little less time to kind of do other things that I was passionate about, just because that was kind of my focus, And so, yeah, it's kind of interesting now at 29 that I'm kind of branching out into things that I've always kind of secretly enjoyed and was passionate about. I mean, I started brass band in grade 3 at Holy Redeemer School, playing the trombone. Shout out to that instrument. I hated it, but I played it. Yeah. And I kind of progressed, play clarinet, play different instruments, but around grade 5 is kind of when sports kind of start to amp up. And so that kind of led me down that road of sports instead of kind of going towards music. Now, I did do things such as like Drama Fest, different things like that I was involved in, which I love, which kind of like leads to my love for like acting, modeling, different things like that. But mostly, yeah, my whole world was sports.
Interesting. I've always found it incredibly interesting that you don't often run into a lot of people who are into the arts but also into the sports. It's almost like you get somewhat, stereotyped or typecast as a teenager as to you got to be one or the other. And it's really interesting for people like myself. Me and you share a lot of common interests in that, and I think that's why we chat so well. I was always same thing: drama festivals, student council. If there was a chess club, I would have joined one. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to be the kid with my picture in the yearbook the most. That was basically my ambition. I'm pretty sure, not really, but that's how it kind of worked. I just wanted to be a part of everything and learn stuff and be around people and social. And I also love the competitive nature of sports. So, which is how we met. I met April. I guess a little over 2 years ago now, maybe a little under. And about 2 years ago, you signed up to play in a league that was helping run for women in this Conception Bay North area, back in your hometown area. Not your hometown, but in North River, where we played all women's basketball. And I kind of helped run that league. And so just connecting with you, come to find out just from following all these new people on social media that you had a podcast. I was like, well, that's interesting because I don't know any podcasters except me. So, again, I started religiously following said podcast, and I listen to it whenever you put up a new episode, and I find it really interesting. Can you talk to me a little bit about what inspired the podcast, what it's about, just for people who've never heard of it before? Go for it.
Yes, so I developed a podcast. It's called Sunday Sessions. Sessions is spelled Seshins. You can find it on Apple Music, YouTube, Spotify, any of those platforms. And really, it began when I was doing travel nursing up in Halifax. So I was working at Queenie 2 in Dartmouth, and I just had this drive or this pull to kind of want to put what I was saying out there. I kind of wanted to get more people to to interact with. I found nursing was great, and traveling nursing is great too, because it lets you meet all new different people and you get new perspective, new stories, new experiences. And I kind of felt like, even though I was like 23, 24 at the time, I've lived a lot of different lives by this point. And so I just wanted to connect with people. And I thought it was really important, especially during the time in which which was COVID was happening. And I just wanted to give people a reminder of all the good in the world and all the positivity that surrounds us. And it's not to, to say to ignore the bad or anything like that. But I kind of just wanted to highlight like I said, the good that was surrounding us, the good within ourselves, and the good we can kind of put out and to give back to others, and connecting back to humanity, and, reminding people that everyone just wants to be happy and they want to be at peace. That's all anyone really wants. And so I wanted to promote that storyline. I wanted to kind of bring that back into light. And so with the podcast, it kind of just randomly was like this little project that I kind of got into, fixations on things, undiagnosed, untreated ADHD, I guess. And I started to just develop different topics that I wanted to speak about. And then I also ended up, I would just go out somewhere. And if I met someone and I loved the way they spoke, I loved the way they talked, I loved the way they, expressed themselves, those are the people that I randomly have been asking to be on the podcast. And so through all of that, I've ended up having all of these different guests from all different backgrounds, all different standpoints. And, we've had some really cool discussions on the podcast. And of course, it's led me to make collaborations with people in our community and to be able to fundraise and give back. That's the biggest thing that I want for the podcast. It's just, the podcast for me is a starting point to kind of put myself out there and to see who I can connect with to be able to give back to the people, not just like in our community, but anywhere really.
Love that. Love that. I was a guest on your podcast, best guest ever, from what I'm told. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. We talked a lot about the volunteerism side of things, community impact, giving back, impacting people's lives. In following your social media, you recently did an event downtown. I won't say anything more about it. Tell me about it, what it was. It was a very novel idea for Newfoundland. Never heard of it before. Had to see if anybody else had done it anywhere in the world. But talk a bit about it and the purpose behind it and why.
Yeah, so back when there's a cafe downtown, it's called Este Cafe. The owners, the people that go there, they're just wonderful people. They're so kind. And I was down there kind of doing schoolwork one day when they just recently opened at that point. And we kind of got to chatting, and she asked if she could take my picture while I was sipping on my coffee. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, what's on the go. And then I started talking about my podcast. We were talking about eventually maybe like recording a podcast down there. At the time, I was working away doing, I was a flight specialist up in the Arctic doing medevacs. So my turnarounds were kind of crazy at the time. And yeah, we ended up connecting, and I just one day I wanted to do a charity event. So it was a coffee shop rave. And the rave part was like, it's a sober event. So we sold coffee, your ticket included, a pastry as well. And so I had someone reached out to me while I was looking for a DJ and was like, hey, I've always wanted to do something like this. This is so cool. Like, can I volunteer? And sure. So both myself and the DJ, we made no money, which is how I kind of want the podcast or Sunday sessions as a brand to kind of be. And I wanted to just donate all the money to SA Cafe. And then I had the idea, I was like, let's do it for a charity event. So I'm really passionate about, meeting people's basic needs, and letting people feel like they have a purpose. And through my master's degree and all the research and stuff that I've been doing, I'm really passionate about preventative care, meeting people's basic needs, giving them what they need, because people need to feel a purpose, right? People want to feel connected. And when we used to have, more of a community sense of being, people felt more involved and they felt more of a duty. And, that's so important. And so my transition to that is I originally was connecting with Homelessness NL. And they actually directed me towards Thrive. And Thrive is a wonderful, awesome organization. They do meals every week for people to stop in, drop in, pick it up. They also help people within our community, young adults and different people like that who suffer from, substance use disorders, homelessness, different things like that. And so I felt really passionate about that. Myself, because I love the down and out. I love the people who are real, and those are the people that I really connect with the most, because a lot of them end up being the kindest with the most craziest stories, and some of us don't even have the drive or the ability to be able to get up in the morning and to carry on with our day despite all the challenges that they face. And it's very inspiring to me. To want to help those people, because we're in a society where things are really hard. You and I, working full time, doing different things. It's a struggle in itself, and I think it ties back to that humanity part of it, seeing people for who they are and helping people. We're only as great as the people who are at the bottom and having a really hard time. And there's a big narrative now where we can talk about the top 1% and the people who control all the money, and they're telling us at the middle class that it's the lower class that's the problem. It's not. Those are the people don't have anything, right? So, the narrative have really been spun, and I just want to remind people that that's not the truth. Those people need us as much as we need them too. And so I ended up connecting with them to be able to donate the money back, and we raised almost about $1,000 for that event. And it was a really big hit. Yeah, it was so crazy. I did not expect as many people to come. I was not expecting, because I'm not a marketing person. I'm not someone who really knows anything about that kind of stuff, but I know how to have a good time. That's my claim to fame. I love to have a good time. I think we only live, living in the moment. We're not given, you don't know where the next week is going to be. And so I believe in people, letting loose, being themselves, and feeling like they're in a safe space where they can express themselves in a way that makes them just feel, happy, and like they don't have any expectations to be someone that they're not. And so I was really happy about that event, and it was really awesome because it actually led to people asking me to have another event like that, because of the fun they had and different things like that. And we had a photographer there who took photos and stuff, who was the brother of the guy who was the DJ, who also volunteered his time. So it's really funny once things start moving, kind of pieces fall together. And so, yeah.
Amazing. All this common ground that you and I share when it comes to the way we look at this stuff, I always find it fascinating, which is why, part of the reason why I wanted to get you to Trinity Hall, because Trinity Hall at its core is meant to be exactly like your event that you held downtown. Greg, who owns the building and is a multi-Grammy Award-winning record producer in LA, makes zero money. It actually costs him quite a bit, I think, in the grand scheme of things. I know it costs him a lot to put the venue there to begin with, to purchase it, to renovate it. And he wants nothing from it other than to see it flourish. He wants any profits that we end up with at the end of a year, which is few and far between. It's not easy to run a performance venue in a small town around the Bay, as you can imagine. But he wants that money to get fed back into ambulance services, food banks, recreation programs, fire departments, the things which matter in Outport, Newfoundland. So it screamed April Squires from the get-go. But I only found out a little while ago that April Squires, on top of being nurse, activist, traveler, podcaster. She's also a singer. So what I want to get into is the music. When did you start singing, and how long did it take you to sing for somebody besides your hairbrush?
Um, I always kind of loved music. I'm the type of person that always has a song on. Like if you come to my house or in my car, like I'm always singing. I was more of a shower singer. There was again, like I enjoyed it, but it was never something I was very confident in. So I never really put myself out there to be like that kind of person. Once I dated someone who was really into music. Right before COVID happened, we had separated and I had been given a guitar. And through that, I was convinced that I was going to learn a new song every day. Again, this is this like drive, this stubbornness, right? So COVID's happening. I just graduated as a nurse. There's not a whole lot on the go. It's a scary world out there. So I just kind of started playing around with some chords. And anyone who plays guitar or started guitar, you can play a lot of songs with like 4 or 5 chords. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not super crazy. Now, I still am not great at bar chords and all the fancy things, but I'm just here to strum along and have a good time. So I started just playing over songs, doing covers of songs, and then I started to sing a little bit and try to learn how to sing with guitar because it's very different. Then, as I mentioned previously, I was up doing medevacs in the north in Iqaluit, and I started writing poetry because I had just gone through something kind of crazy in my life, crazy breakup, and I was writing poetry, and then I started bringing my guitar up with me, even though that was a hassle on all the flights and all the things,
Mm.
but I done it. And the poetry started to turn into songs. Like I started to write music. And then before you know it, I'm kind of like a singer songwriter, but like kind of in secret. And then I started to kind of get more confident. And anyone who knows me now, I usually post videos from the chin down, like my face is not in the video, and I'll just write little clips. And I was posting them, and I guess that's how I kind of you were like, what? Like you you also sing and play guitar? Like what the hell is happening kind of thing. And so I've kind of been putting myself more and more out there with that kind of stuff and with writing. And lo and behold, I got asked to do this event, which I was super nervous about. But I told myself this year that I'm going to have more confidence in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about being perfect. It's about, someone told me once when you perform for people, it's not about you, it's about everyone else. And so that kind of changed my perspective on things because people just want to come and have a good time. And they'd listen to anyone who kind of would get up and sing. You know what I mean? Everyone just loves the energy of just like cultivating a moment. And so
Mm-hmm.
I just want to contribute to that moment at Trinity Hall and to allow people to kind of forget, relax, and kind of just connect with music.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. I couldn't agree more. I came through a much different. I had different motivations to play guitar. I was given a guitar in grade three to learn how to play guitar from a local gentleman, Paul Martin in Winterton. I took guitar lessons across the road from Trinity Hall from him for about I don't know 6 months. Learned G, C, and D, and then the music that I was listening to at the time didn't match the kind of music which I was learning to play on guitar because it wasn't in the same realm of even the skill set. I mean, I was learning Four Strong Winds, these old folk songs, but I was listening to Sum 41 and Green Day and Bush X and all these 90s bands. So the guitar kind of slipped away into a closet in grade three, grade four. When I got to grade eight, and it was my first year in high school, we transitioned from elementary school right straight to high school. I came to realize that the girls liked the boys who played guitars. So I was like, wait a minute, I have one of those in my closet. So again, internet is now much more mainstream at this point. This would have been 1990, I don't know, five. More accessible. There's all these guitar chord websites popping up. You no longer had to go buy a book. You could just search the internet and find the things you needed. So with my little bit of info that I had from learning from Paul and the resources on the internet, and to drive to get a girlfriend, I learned how to play the guitar. So it worked out quite well for me in that sense that it gave me while my motivations might not have been all that pure, it gave me an outlet that I really, truly enjoy. Sitting back when I've got nothing else to do, which is not often, but when I have nothing to do, I can just sit back, just have a few strums, and just remember some songs that I thought I forgot. Because what ended up happening, learned how to play guitar, played all the way through high school. When I got to university, it then became a tool. Like you're going, everyone's poor. Everyone it's the life of the house party. Who knows how to play guitar? Oh, Ryan. Well, get Ryan to come to the party. So I just learned every song that I could, every song known to man. I mean, I'm not Ron Hines, man of 1,000 songs, but I got 900. You know what I mean? Because we'd sit and we'd play guitar, and we'd play guitar for 5 hours straight. We'd go to a beach fire out in Outer Cove, and you'd sit by the fire and you'd play guitar for 5 hours straight. You'd just play and play and play. And I sang too. I will still sing. Now, people say, Ryan, will you sing? I said, will I sing and can I sing are two very different questions with two very different answers. So I can sing. I probably shouldn't, but I don't care. It's like, to your point of your trip to Trinity Hall. Yeah, I'd get up on stage at Trinity Hall and sing. I wouldn't bat two eyelashes about it. Should I? Not. No, probably not. You, on the other hand, my dear, have quite a lovely voice. When I first heard your couple of clips, I was like, sending messages, more. Give me some more. I want to hear. Part of my job with Silly Cove Records is Greg really liked. When he met me, he really liked my. We talked about music a lot. I mean, that's Greg's life. It's his passion. He's one of these hyper-focused people who was incredibly successful because of, and incredibly intelligent. All the perfect pitch, all these things that, he's the shepherd's pie of skills. Everything is in there, and we chatted a lot. And he asked me after our chats if I'd like to be A&R for the record label, which is Artists and Repertoire. So I'll go out and listen to all these different people and kind of pick apart the things I really like about it. I sent it to him, tell him what I think, and he's like, "No, you're bang on. This is really something." And there have been times when I've sent him stuff and he'd be like, "No, I don't really get it." Then he'd come back to me months later and been like, "You know what? You're right. This is really good. Let's try that." So I like to think in my mind that I've got to go to Airfort. Greg has told me I've got to go to Airfort, so that's high praise. And when I listened to your singing, I was like, man, her voice, there's something, it's like a low-end, raspy Stevie Nicks kind of thing, but at the same time, there's some nice little vibratos in there. Anyway, I really liked it, and I reached out to you. I'm like, okay, you can definitely, show above the chin. That's cool too. Like, no pressure. But how would you feel about opening a show at Trinity Hall, and we might as well point out now too, this will be your very first ever live show, correct?
Yes.
So, you're playing. You'll be opening the show is my plan if all goes well. The fun fact about this is that this is something that I really love to do. I love to give people, when we have the opportunity, talented people, their very first opportunity to get on stage at Trinity Hall, because it is a very homely. It's as Bay as you're going to get. You're from the Bay, you get it, right? I mean, like, there's people there right from their 90s down to little kids who are running around the aisles. I mean, this is not an uppity, staunch place to come and hang out. During the intermissions, people are up, reminiscing, hugging. It's Bay, right? So giving people their first opportunity to be listened to, because a lot of people, their first gigs, they're not listened to. You're going to a bar in the corner where people are not there to listen to the music; they're there to drink, right? So playing in front of an attentive audience is, because I've played downtown. I've played in shows where people actually have to listen to me. Too bad for them, but it's a completely different vibe. So an attentive audience is what you'll get at Trinity Hall, and they're just going to be grateful to have you there. So we're really stoked. So let's talk about musical influences. What did you listen to when you were a younger April, and what are you listening to now?
Younger April loved Shania Twain. I just remember my mom cleaning and Shania Twain was on all the time. So Shania is my gal. I love her music. I love her voice. I love that she's Canadian. I seen her like 3 times in one year when she started touring again. I was just blown away how she as an artist have like evolved. And people's like, oh, it's not the old Shania and different things like that. Of course not. She's an older woman now. She's went through different things, and I love that artists like when they change, because they should change. You've grown, right? It's not about doing the same thing over. And so that was really cool. I really enjoyed her. I was a K-Rock rocks gal. My dad made me listen to all the K-Rock music. So, I love everything, Meatloaf, all the buzz that, I still put a K-Rock rocks on at work. That's my go-to channel. And so as I kind of transitioned, I really fell in love with it's funny that you said Stevie Nicks. I love Fleetwood Mac.
Hmm.
Fleetwood Mac is probably one of my favorite all-time bands. But again, I'm still very rock and roll too. Like I love Guns N' Roses, but I love country. I love Chris Stapleton. I love like kind of like that soulful, different kind of music. Recently, within the last few years, Zach Bryan is someone who I've really enjoyed
Hmm.
listening to. Tyler Childers, people who kind of write stories with their music. That is kind of what I connect to the most. So yeah.
So, as an artist, again, you said you started into poetry, and it kind of lent itself into, putting together some melodies and some chords and whatever that is for you. What kind of artist can we expect April Squires to be in the future? Is what I'm wondering.
I try to write fast songs, fun songs. It's just not really, I try to, and it always ends up turning into like this kind of like deeper, more of a passionate kind of writing, kind of like an indie kind of raspy rock and rollish kind of vibe is what I'm going for. And I love to tell stories. I think that's so important to me, is people connecting to the lyrics. And I want to write things that are catchy, that it may not be fast, but it'll stay in your head. You know what I mean? And you'll be
Hmm.
kind of bopping around and you'll be like, oh yeah, that little tidbit. And be like, who wrote that? And be like, it was me.
Hmm.
So that would be really cool to kind of get into. But yeah, very soulful, um, catchy, kind of indie rock maybe kind of vibe.
So a little bit of everything, a little bit of jazz, Afro beat, rap, a little bit of hip hop in there with some rock and roll, folk, and classical, pretty much.
Would it really be me if it wasn't a little bit of everything? Like, I don't know how to just do one thing. Like,
Yeah.
I remember how many times have people been like, April, like, you have too many stokes in the fire. And I'm like, really? Like, I'm good. Like 10 tasks at a time. I'm your girl. Like, I'm your gal. Like, I will get it done, like, kind of thing. So, yeah, a little bit of everything. You never know what you're feeling. You never know what you're going through. You never know what mood you're in. And so I think that the music kind of rates itself depending on kind of where you're to in your life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. One of the best examples of this, who you'll be sharing the stage with, I think, is Rachel Cousins. Rachel's one of the headliners for the show, and Rachel's been singing, professionally singing since like age 14. She's now in her, I guess, what you want to call it, early 20s. She's like 23 or 24 now, I guess, Rachel. And she started out going down this path of pop music, pop, 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 like kind of like what you're talking about in a sense, with faster, kind of upbeat, kind of crowd pleasing tunes. And when she met Greg and they sat down and talked about music, he said, what do you listen to? What's on your playlist? She was like, well, I'm into, and it was all, folk rock, indie music, folk music. And, and Greg's like, well, how would you feel about making an album like that? And Rachel's like, well, yeah, sure. Let's do it. Let's make that album. And it's been her highest streaming album ever. It's nominated right now for 3 CMA awards this fall. And again, was she a bad pop singer? Absolutely not. But when she found her niche, where she could really get out and write and really get that message across, it resonated with people in a big way. So yeah, this is in no way a slight on Rachel Cousins as a pop artist. Don't get me wrong; she is still one of the greatest we've ever had on the island. But she's branched out into a new area now, where I think she as a person is connecting with the people through music, and I think that's really important because she's got stories to tell too. Just because you're 6 foot tall, redhead, and beautiful, that don't mean you've had an easy life. She said she's got stories to tell, and we're really proud of Rachel, and particularly that album. It's been the world's response to that has been phenomenal. So yeah, we're looking to have you at Trinity Hall. We'll get probably 3 tunes out of you to get the show going. I'm told you might have a little something fun just to kind of break the ice. So I'm curious to see what that's going to be all about. I don't even want to know because whatever, April, you do you, and that's why we got you coming. So again, thank you so much. I'll give you a little bit of backstory too. The Downey's Bank podcast. While you're in Winterton, maybe you'll get the chance during the afternoon at Soundcheck to go for a little walk. It's a scenic little town. It's beautiful. There's a little hill over on the other side of the harbor called Downey's Bank, and on top of Downey's Bank, when I was growing up, there was always a red bench there because it looks out over the harbor. So all the older fishermen, the guys who had kind of long retired, they'd get up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. They'd walk down to Downey's Bank and they'd kind of stand around and chat or sit on the bench and chat and just share stories. They'd communicate with each other, not unlike what we're doing here, just in a completely different medium, right? So again, I hope you'll enjoy your trip to Winterton. Get out and have a look around. It's a beautiful town. The people are going to love you, and we can't wait to hear you.
I'm excited. It almost feels like it's not even real, but I'm going to come out with a smile and some pep in my step, and I'm excited to kind of just connect and be on stage with people that are so talented, and to be able to just have this opportunity. I'm just beyond grateful, and I'm excited to get out there.
Well, fun fact, you're sharing the stage with Julia Dawson, again from your neck of the woods, much younger. I shouldn't say that. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? Oh, you're so old. You old lady, you.
Well, it's funny because I work with Julia, like I work with her mom.
Her mom, I know. Karen is an emergency room nurse. Yeah, hilarious. But Julia's very first show ever, paid show was at Trinity Hall. We kind of stumbled onto her on a Facebook clip of her singing a Whitney Houston song, and I was like, bah! And I was like, this girl, call her up. I organized a show which was based around her and a couple other girls who had these big booming voices. The place sold out. It was one of the best shows we've ever had, and her career took off from that show, and she's been playing regularly ever since. So maybe the same for you, maybe not. Who knows? All I do know is that April is going to do April, and we're all going to be better off for it. So thanks so much for sharing the bench at Downey's Bank, and we'll look forward to seeing you this coming weekend.
Awesome. Can't wait.